David Smith, furniture maker. Welcome to my workshop. This is a chest I'm working on at the moment. It's a apothecary chest. I tend to do most of my designing on the CAD system, saves me printing anything out. As an ex-engineer, I find it fairly natural to design things in my head before they go on the CAD system, really. Well, hopefully this piece is going to be exhibited at Tetbury in the Gloucestershire Guild show. So anyone who wants to see it, or purchase it even, is welcome to come along and have a look. These are some of the components for the apothecary chest we've just been talking about. This is the inner carcass of the cabinet. Now these will be the components for the doors, made up in that kind of fashion. Obviously the little MDF blocks won't be in the final cabinet. So each one of these is a door compartment. It's constructed in that kind of fashion. It's all made in American white oak, all locally sourced timber. It's all beautifully made by me. That's the first half of the joint. As you see, it's quite a complex shape. So we've just separated the two halves of that piece of wood, and you can see at that point how the joint goes together, like a kid's jigsaw really. So the kind of joint you've just seen me cutting on the machine is the kind of joint I'm going to use on this cabinet, which I'm hoping to exhibit at the Tetbury show. The joint is a modern development using modern machinery. And it also lends itself to using modern materials. It'd be very difficult to cut a hand-cut dovetail in a piece of plywood like this because it just falls apart as you're doing it. But this kind of joint gives you a really nice neat finish. There's no end grain on either side of the joint. And although I'm a big fan of traditional cabinet making techniques, I'm also a believer that modern techniques and using modern machinery and modern tooling is essential to keep the price of bespoke furniture at a sensible level. Although, as I said, I'm a great believer in modern machinery and modern techniques, one thing that is essential to get the quality finish is quality tools and traditional tools. Planes, chisels, marking gauges, simple things like screwdrivers. You can't get the quality finish using modern machines and traditional techniques without doing handwork. It's so essential to the job. This coffee table was an attempt to get right back to basics with the design. Sometimes you get quite involved with your design and things start to get rather complicated. But this was an attempt to go right back to basics with just simple geometric shapes. There's a triangle, a square and an hexagon. Although it's quite an involved job making these shapes, the design is meant to be as simple as possible. This cabinet was designed along the lines of a Japanese cabinet I saw in a museum quite some years ago. The cabinet I saw in the museum was probably 1,000 years old, but it was basically the same shape and same design as this. But this design was an attempt to make a more contemporary kind of version of that. The The sides of the drawers are English sycamore and the fronts are American black walnut. As you can see, there's hand cut dovetails on each of the drawers. This piece again is kind of based on, it's a kind of blend between the Japanese style cabinet and an attempt at fetching it up to date with a hint of Art Deco. The outside is again sycamore, the door handles are sycamore. The drawers are solid English oak, and the front of the drawers is burnt and wire brushed to get quite a coarse texture on the front of the drawer. The attempt was to try and make a contrast in textures between the inside and the outside. The front's inlaid with an ebony string, sides of hand cut dovetails again. This chair was kind of designed in similar kind of style to the Barcelona chair. I'm quite a fan of the Barcelona chair, but whenever I've sat in it, it's not very comfortable. It might sound sacrilegious that, but that's my opinion. So this was an attempt at making a comfortable version of the Barcelona chair. The leatherwork done by McGregor and Michael, who are members of the guild with me, it's Italian leather. It's hand stitched. The edges are very finely polished, and it's formed onto a plywood former. If everybody wants any leatherwork doing, I would highly recommend them. Again, they're members of the guild. These lamps are a range of lamps that are made as a sideline to the furniture. It's LED technology, so they're very low voltage, give off a very clear light. But what I wanted to produce was something along the lines of an angle pose lamp, which was more kind of decorative and just purely out of wood. So these are all solid wood lamps, and I make a range. There's the 4 standing lamps, and I also make a small tabletop version in 2 different sizes. And they come in all sorts of timbers and materials. This table is another example of using fairly modern construction techniques. The sides of the frame are laminated in solid walnut. So we've got 4 pieces, 4 very thin pieces of walnut laminated together. The glass is bonded to stainless steel studs, which are then bonded onto the table. Again, things like stainless steel and glass. Again, modern techniques in traditional looking furniture. I'm associate member of the guild, just coming up to the end of the my first 12 months in the guild. I found it really helpful to be a member of the guild, because I moved to this area about 2 years ago from Bolton, and the guild was an excellent way of meeting new craftsmen and getting to know the area. And I've met some really nice people, really talented people, and stuck up some really good associations, especially with people like McGregor and Michael who did the leatherwork. The opportunities that you get for exhibiting at the guild shows, there's no other way really you can get that kind of exposure without it costing a complete fortune. So the guild is really a good opportunity to expand business and move forward.